Well, that was a missed cue, but we are live. Welcome, everybody. I want to thank you all for joining us here tonight. This is the first of something special that I'm hoping to build on. I want to welcome you all to what is the first night of Origin Stories, where we'll be talking to our favorite ex-Scientologists and learning the tales we don't always hear. So it should be a fun night for everybody. I want to thank everybody on both my side, on my channel, Denver Steveo, and at Mitch's channel, Scientology The Big Lie. Just a reminder to everybody, please do me the favor. If you are not subscribed to Mitch, please swing over, like, and subscribe to Mitch's channel. That is at Scientology The Big Lie, with hyphens in between each of the words. And at the same time, if you are not a member of my family, get my merch. Like and subscribe to Denver Steveo as well. So so thank you, everybody. Once again, this is the first of many of these kind of discussions where we talk about the parts of our favorite exes' lives that we're unfamiliar with thus far. And with that, quite simply and quite straightforward, let me introduce the guest of the week, the guest of honor himself, Mr. Mitch Brisker.
Hey, guys. Hey, Steve-O. Nice. Do I call you Steve-O or Steve? I never asked you.
I don't care. Call me whatever you want.
Steve's easier. I don't mind Steve-O.
I'm good with Steve.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking for this. Do I, I have the dressier shirt on tonight. I was debating the hat, but it's kind of my thing.
Yeah, it's your brand. I have a go ahead.
But Sorry. I was also thinking, do we go with Denver Steve for this one as well? So
I'm just going to call you Steve. It's just easier.
I'll take it. That's absolutely.
It's just
fine.
I figure you only get so many syllables in life, and so I'm going to try to save some extra ones. Yeah. So I'm wearing the same old black T-shirt. They're in a pile in my bedroom, and I pick them up and I snip them. Whichever one smells the cleanest, I put it on, and then I go on to YouTube, and that's my little secret. So I do need to get to the dry cleaners. Yeah. So I got a question for you before we start, Steve. This isn't like a lifetime achievement award, because usually when those happen, the person dies like within a year.
You get no award for this, except for being here.
Good.
I'll see if we can get you a couple of subs
things, like these tribute kind of things. It's like that's like in a movie when, like, a war movie, and two guys are in the trenches, and one guy says to the other, man, I just meaning to tell you, man, I really love you, man. And the guys are going to get shot like next second. So I just want to make sure we're not queuing one of those up. Okay. There
are no guns pointed at you. I don't think.
We're just having a little. Well, it's not. It's fate. I'm speaking to fate, because it's kind of like it's a fatalistic thing that you do one of those. You got to watch out about doing the tributes, because anyway.
True.
Let's move on. I'm just making fun.
No, you're all good. I'm going to take this background away because you've got a second pair of eyes just staring at me. So
yeah,
there we go. That's a little bit.
No, that was kind of cool. No, yeah, let's do that.
Do you want those? Do you want those there?
No, I don't. That's really freaky. Now, I heard actually Mark Headley told me that, the view that we hate, the one where the two sides are fully covered. The view on StreamYard. Yeah. Apparently, pro tip from Mark Headley, the YouTube algorithm favors this layout as much as we all hate it, because it's shit. And I just did a whole stream today with Mike Brown, and I forgot to do this. So it's up to you. But apparently the algorithm favors this because people watch these, on their cell phones. And so YouTube's it's favoring ones that are more cell phone friendly.
Oh,
it's just what Headley told me, but he's been telling me bullshit since like 1990. So who knows?
This is going to be friendlier when I do the shorts as well. So,
well, the shorts are already. The only way you can do shorts is for Well, hopefully what do you mean? I'm confused.
I don't know. It's just
Oh, yes.
it will be bigger when I
Yeah, you'll have a
stack
little
them up here.
bit more resolution for doing shorts
Well, here we go.
this way.
Hello.
So here we go. Where do we start? What would you like to know?
Well, Mitch Brisker, this is your. Oh wait, I said we weren't going to do this as your life. Uh, so let's start it. Let's make it easy. Let's start at the beginning.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about.
Me?
I'm not going to ask you to tell us about your birth because you probably don't remember that. But
oh no, I do. Are you kidding? I ran it out in Dianetics.
oh,
And then I did prenatals, and then I went past track, and then I went back for trillions of years. I mean, when you say origin story, I mean, you want to go all the way back to like Xenu and the body thetans and like being dumped in the ocean in a block of ice. And,
are you? Do you know?
no, I was never a body thetan. So
Okay.
I came from a different sector of the galaxy.
Were you? Did you?
I'm not a free, but I was never a free body thetan.
Okay. I was going to ask if you knew all the thetans inside. You know, if you've kind of made friends with them or.
Well, that's a tall order. I mean, that's a lot of thetans. That's really a lot of thetans.
Do you got a favorite? Do you have a favorite thetan?
I actually don't.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, I wish I could help you out there, but I have no favorite thetans.
Okay.
Probably, it's tough to believe in invisible, non-existent entities that are supposedly clinging to you. But no, my Earth, this lifetime.
Let's
joking.
stick to that then. Let's stick to this lifetime.
Yeah, this lifetime origin story started in September 26, 1949, just shortly after Jesus gave up writing dinosaurs, and because I'm that old. And I was born in Oakland, California. My parents lived in the Bay Area. My father had been stationed up there during the war, the big war. He was a naval officer who served in the Pacific Theater and saw every one of those famous battles that you've heard about in the movies, from Guadalcanal to Iwo Jima to you name it. He was at every one of those. And he was an architect and a gentleman and a really terrific guy. And I still miss him very much. But anyway, my parents ended up in San Francisco after the war. Then we moved. I was actually born in Oakland. For some reason, they drove across the bridge. I know the reason. It's just I'm not going to get into it. It's a good reason, but and then we moved to Van Nuys, California, and then we moved back to San Francisco, and then we moved to Laurel Canyon, a very storied place.
Yes.
I'll see if I can find it. There's actually the house I grew up in San Francisco. It's actually on Wikipedia, believe it or not, because it's actually famous, which really blew my mind. Well, it's not famous. It's notable because my parents did something very controversial. They sold our house to a black family in 1957, 58. And my parents were very progressive, and the guy they sold it to, his name was Cecil Charles Po, and he was a member of the Labor Party, which is kind of a socialist. And so my parents were, no, Cecil Po, okay, hold on. I have the wrong one here. Anyway, it was just, he became like the first black, oh yeah, here he is. I grabbed the wrong one. Here he is. He was a United States Circuit Judge. And anyway, he was a very famous judge in California. He also ascended to some very high post. My parents sold our house to this family, and literally it was a nightmare. I mean, they were throwing trash on the lawn when the neighbors found out. This was in San Francisco in the 50s. There was still a lot of racism.
Wow.
But the house was made into I can't find it here. It was actually made into anyway, he was a lawyer for like the Jefferson Airplane and the Doobie Brothers and all kinds of shit. But they turned the house that we sold him into like a historical, not an architectural, but historical. They gave it historical status. So blah blah blah. Anyway, I thought.
So were they was this the first black family to own a house?
Well, interestingly enough, I didn't know we were going to get off talking about race. Interestingly enough, in our neighborhood, I grew up in a neighborhood I lived then in a neighborhood in South San Francisco called Ingleside Terrace. which was a pretty white neighborhood. But a few blocks away, there was a very famous black uh, uh, baseball player, like Hall of Fame kind of baseball player, who had been crippled. And so, kind of, if you were, a very famous athlete and you happen to be a person of color, they would probably not have a problem with it. But
Sure.
this guy was like seriously progressive, left wing, black. He became a very noted character in the field of law in California and then America. And I've seen the house. My sister sent me a picture of it, and I can't find it. So whatever. I thought that would be kind of fun to look at that, but I don't know where the hell it is. So yeah, and then we moved to Laurel Canyon. What do you know about Laurel Canyon, Steve?
Wasn't there a movie called Laurel Canyon?
Yeah, but that was a crappy movie.
I just know that it's there. I don't know too much about the
okay.
the
So
history
there was a book written called. You can read my book. I have a whole chapter devoted to it. There was a book called Laurel Canyon, America's most infamous, notorious, I don't remember, rock and roll neighborhood. It's a really good book. Laurel Canyon was the place that the Southern California folk rock scene exploded out of. All of the bands, the Doors lived there, the Byrds lived there, Frank Zappa lived there, Joni Mitchell lived there, Jim Morrison lived there, on and on and on. It was pretty amazing. I mean, when I was a kid growing up in the 60s in Laurel Canyon, I mean, we used to, from my parents' house, we could hear the Byrds rehearsing on Cass Elliot from Mamas and Papas, rehearsing on her deck, like on a Sunday afternoon. We'd hear the music just going through the canyon. It was crazy. And it's sort of all like the music scene in San Francisco exploded out of Haight-Ashbury. Right. The music scene in LA exploded out of Laurel Canyon. So, my parents had no idea what they were getting us into. It was like a magical place to grow up as a kid. But, when the music scene hit, because something else, two other things arrived, which were of unbelievable significance in terms of American culture. One was the Vietnam War, and the other was drugs. And those two things were very interrelated. My dog, Weston's looking at me like, that's really fucking interesting, Mitch. Like, oh, no, he wants a snack. It's the same look. So I was involved in music. I should have brought the picture up. There was a very noted LA band called Little Feat, the leader of the Little Feat. I grew up with those guys. We played music together.
Sure.
Then, he's no longer alive, my friend, but he died a few years ago. But we played him. Yes, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say really quick. When you got to Laurel Canyon, how old were you when you got there?
I was 8.
Okay, so you were there.
So it was before that whole thing was happening. When we moved there, when we moved to Laurel Canyon, it was basically beatniks and communists, right? Which might have been one of the and FBI agents. So there's a really funny story. There was a lot of quote unquote supposed communist activity going on, and we're not talking about Stalinist communists. We're talking about political activists who believed in the Bill of Rights and the whole communist movement back then. I don't know if you ever saw the movie. I can't think of the name of it. Trumbo. If you ever saw the film Trumbo?
Sure. Oh, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm talking about those communists.
Okay.
The kind of communists that Dalton Trumbo was. Like my parents were friends with Michael Wilson, who wrote Lawrence of Arabia, and he was blacklisted. So my parents were investigated because my dad, they were a little too liberal. So when we first moved there, there's a very funny story about there was so many suspected communists in Laurel Canyon at that time that they had FBI agents. This is not the stuff you thought you were going to talk about, right?
This is all good. They
had FBI agents that were undercover pretending to be communists in Laurel Canyon, and 2 of them arrested each other. So the only people these 2 FBI agents could find that were involved in communist activity were the other guy, and they were both undercover. They didn't know the other guy was there, and then one of them ended up trying to arrest the other one. It's a very funny story. So then what happened was, and again, I've devoted the first 3 chapters of my book they predate my getting into Scientology.
Sure.
The story starts when I talked about being 8 and going to Laurel Canyon. And even though I'm telling you the story now, you're going to want to read it because there's tons of details. It's a fascinating story. A lot of people have told me they wish they could read more of that, but that's not why I wrote a book. I wrote it to decode the unbelievable con that Scientology is.
Right.
But we'll talk more about that a little bit. We'll touch on that later because it is a con. It might go down in history as the greatest con of our times, because when you can get people to give you money so that you can steal their identity, their true inner core identity, that's a pretty good con. So anyway, so you get the picture. We get the communists, and there's painters. There's a little place called the Canyon Country Store, which is really famous because it was on when Joni Mitchell did the album Ladies of the Canyon, she posed at the Canyon Country Store. I worked. Remember that? You ever that?
I have seen that. Yes.
Yeah, I worked there when I was 12.
Oh wow!
Until I got fired because I wasn't strong enough to push the dolly cart up the hill. It was too much. It was too much.
Understood.
So I made it through half the summer. But anyway, so yeah, and that the Canyon Country Store, there was a little restaurant under it called Von's Caleria. It's still there. It's called something else. And Von was this old beatnik, and he used to feed the local artists, literally, who were starving. And so it was called the Cafe Galleria, and the walls were covered with all the paintings of the local artists. Sure. Today people move to Laurel Canyon because they're rich and they want to immerse themselves in this sort of proto hippie lifestyle. They want to be like the rich hippie billionaires who live in Malibu today. Mm-hmm. It's like a sort of like they're trying to co-opt the 60s, and I run into them all the time, and they really piss me off because they think that they're actually somehow associated with what happened in Laurel Canyon back in those days, but they don't know. They weren't there. I sound like a Vietnam vet. Weston, are you really going to do this? I could rehome you. Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a threat.
Yeah, it is. My parents do not speak to me that way, but he's a dog. So let's train. He's like a drug addict now when I go on YouTube. Anyway, so you get the picture. We had all these artists. We had communists. Mm-hmm. We had beatniks. And then and then on the Sunset Strip, which everybody's heard of. Nobody, right? Nobody knows why it's called the Sunset Strip. Would you like to know, Steve, why it's called the Sunset Strip?
I thought it had something to do with Sunset Boulevard, but
Sunset Boulevard. There's a section of Sunset Boulevard. Sunset Boulevard goes all the way from downtown LA to the beach.
Right.
It is actually, fun fact, one of the longest boulevards in America. Okay.
I did not know that.
Yeah, because if you look at a map, literally from downtown LA, it starts at downtown LA. It starts right around Scientology Media Productions, which is in East Hollywood. It starts a little east of there, and it goes all the way through Hollywood, West Hollywood, Beverly Hills, Brentwood, and finally ends up in the beach in Santa Monica. Right? Okay. Yep. It's a very long street, but it's called the part that's called the Strip. There's a very narrow piece of land which goes from Crescent Heights to Doheny, which is the Sunset Strip, and it's unincorporated, which means it's not part of the city. It's county, and it's it's a narrow strip of land, so it's called the Sunset Strip, right? And this is and so any place that's unincorporated is not under the jurisdiction of the LAPD. It's under the jurisdiction because they're city. It's under the jurisdiction of the county cops that are the sheriffs.
The sheriffs, sure.
And they're really nasty. Like they're just like, if any of you, I spoke to a guy once at Gold who was hired as a security guy who used to be a sheriff, and I talked to him about this, and he was like, "Yeah, you're right. The reason is because they run the county jails. You want to know who's taking care of Danny Masterson right now? It's the LA County Sheriffs." And they do their first year tour of duty in county jail. They come out of county jail thinking everybody's a perp, and they're really nasty. Do you remember in the Joni Mitchell song, California? Remember that song? A wonderful song on the Blue album, California. Remember that? She said, I'm gonna kiss the Sunset Pig.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. The Sunset Pig is the LA County Sheriff on the Strip. That was the reference.
Sunset Pig.
Yeah, because we, we're doing 60s LA trivia now. But anyways, song trivia. So so back in those days, before the 60s music scene happened, the Sunset Strip was basically inhabited by mobsters. Okay. It was not that many years before that where Mickey Cohen had been the attempted assassin. He'd been gunned down. He didn't die, but he was gunned down on the Strip. And you had clubs like you had Dino's Lodge, which was mob run, but it was, fronted by Dean Martin. All of those clubs, you had Ciro's, which today's the Comedy Store. All of those clubs were all mob owned. And basically the Strip was the LA mob. And even my barber, when I was 8, was a bookie. I mean, I didn't know this. I explained to my dad what he was. California, okay. Patty B, California is a great place if you were a car or if you were in the back seat of a car with a friend. But yeah, definitely a car culture. Anyway, so yeah, my bookie. So anyway, then what happened was all of a sudden there's this shift. A lot of people credit, what's his name, from the Byrds, the mandolin bluegrass musician who became one of the Byrds, Chris Hillman. A lot of people credit Chris Hillman with being the first musician to move to Laurel Canyon because he was looking for a cheap apartment. And then all of a sudden everybody started moving up there. And there's been a couple of music documentaries. One of them's pretty good. One of them's okay, where they talk about the fact that for all of these musicians and, through the years, and then the next generation, people like Jackson Browne and various other people who lived up there, because it was kind of this oasis, you were literally in a rural neighborhood with trees and dirt roads, and, there were mansions and shacks. And in 10 minutes, you could be at the Strip, or, you could be at Geffen Records at your record company for a meeting, but you could sort of live in this kind of very rustic neighborhood. Frank Zappa lived up there. So when I was a teenager, we used to go to parties. Everybody that I mentioned, I was at a party with at their place or with them at some other place. It was pretty wild. So, but the other thing that was wild about it was, you with me, Steve? You stay.
I'm there. I'm in 100%. I was just thinking about Dweezil and Moon Unit. So
say it again.
I was just thinking of Dweezil and Moon Unit.
Oh yeah, I met Dweezil once. An interesting story. Well, years later, I did some ads for an electronic drum company called Simmons, which was has since went bankrupt. But yeah, I did ads for them in the 80s, try to keep them alive. A great company. I wrote these ads. I'll see if I can find them. I'll put them up for you. If you'd like to see them. You want to see one? We'll put one up.
Always.
I think it would be kind of interesting. Anyway, I did this ad with a 12-year-old kid named Josh Freese. Josh Freese just joined the Foo Fighters after their drummer tragically died. Josh Freese is one of the most legendary drummers of all time. And yeah, he's now a Foo Fighter. So Josh was actually being sponsored by Simmons Drums when he was 12. And so I got to know him and I did these ads, and he was at that, and he lived in Orange County, and he used to come to LA for gigs and recording sessions when he was like 16. We were friends for years until I went to work for Scientology, in which case I lost all of contact with the civilized world, everybody that I was friends, like blah, blah, blah. But so yeah, because his parents, who were about my age, who knew me and they trusted me, I was good with kids. Okay. I just wasn't good with other adults, especially if they were females. I mean, nothing. I mean, it was all consensual, seriously. But anyway, his parents we were friends. I was friends with his parents. And when he had to come to LA, his parents, if he had to stay overnight, his parents would be like, okay, so you're going to stay with Mitch, because they trusted me. So Josh and I spent a lot of time together. And one of the gigs he did an album with Dweezil Zappa, and so Dweezil was picking him up at my house.
Oh, cool.
But I didn't really get to know him. He was kind of a very quiet kid. But so let me see, where were we? Oh, we're back in Laurel.
You were 12 in Laurel Canyon.
Yeah, I was 12 in Laurel Canyon. Oh, so yeah, so then yeah, so now I'm like a teenager, right? We're getting on, and we're starting to freak out about the war. Okay, so now I'm like, whatever. So the other thing that happened along with the music scene was heroin, because of the Vietnam War. Brought a lot of heroin. People don't talk about this anymore. I call it was the forgotten opioid epidemic. We had, yeah, buy me a coffee. Thanks, Selena. We had an opium epidemic there that was, if it was second to any, it was second to the current one, but it may not have been, because so much heroin originated in Southeast Asia. And because we were at war there were a great many it created a great many opportunities for that drug to be brought into the country in the coffins of dead soldiers. The CIA had, and I have evidence of this, I have documented research articles. They were involved with native warlord opium growers in Cambodia and Vietnam that they were befriending and financing, and then those warlords, they were called the Montagnards. Those warlords would then they had free reign going into North and South Vietnam to handle their opium fields, because the North Vietnamese were scared of them. The South Vietnamese were scared of them. They'd been there for 1,000 years. They were just left alone. The CIA used to pay them to run reconnaissance missions in exchange for letting heroin out of the country, because the idea was, well, we'll just catch it on stateside, right? But a lot of this heroin made it into the country, and so it became a thing to do. And for me, it was a way to get out of the Vietnam War. So because if you were doing heroin, they didn't want you in the armed services, especially if you told them you wanted to go to Vietnam because you heard the heroin was really good there. Then they definitely didn't want you. So anyway,
that's the way out.
Yeah, I was a card carrying, unsuitable for military service. Okay, so then that happened, and let's get caught up with some pictures. Steve, I should have given these to Marilyn and let her run it.
Oh, was I slacking on pictures? I'm sorry.
Yeah, can you? Oh, yeah, I can't load it. I'm not a partner here.
Oh,
can you load this PDF? I can't control it. Okay, so yeah, so there's me, and I'm not a year old yet. That's kind of not fair showing a picture when you're a chubby infant, because who's not going to love that? Right. And, here I am, the top middle with the buck teeth, the cute little Jewish looking kid. That was me. Yeah, there I am. And then, okay, this is me at 12, right? Mm-hmm. Like junior high school. This was my high school yearbook picture. Really embarrassed about that.
Kind of suave.
Yeah. What's that?
It's kind of suave. You're looking.
Yeah, I was like a real lady killer. Well, I did. Yeah, I designed the high school yearbook, so I made sure I got a really good picture. Weston, I'm not giving you any.
That was the cover shot of the.
Oh, absolutely. There was a centerfold with me, and
nice.
I was in the back flap. No, I was everywhere on that thing. No, that was just my. Okay, and this was. Then I got cast out of. This is a long story. I'm going to make you buy my book to read how this whole thing happened. But I was in this movie called Dusty and Sweet Smiggy. I know Mark showed this picture.
Yep, I do recall that.
Yeah, Mark he used this picture on the little thing we're doing, and I was like desperately gonna retouch the mustache, but then I thought it would be too much work. I just wanted it the hell out of there. Because it was just, but I guess the girls seem to like it. Mitch, okay, thank you, Marilyn. That's so cool.
It's even got the curl on the mustache there.
Yeah, I know, and I had lots of hair back then. And this is okay. Now this is, and then we'll duck out of the pictures up to that. But then, after I got all cleaned up, I got into Scientology. I got cleaned up, and then I sort of wasn't really doing much Scientology. I went back to Cal Arts, got a degree in cinema, started working. I was working for a company, a very noted company called Robert Abel and Associates. And I went to my boss one day and I said, nobody knows who any of us are. I'm doing as much work as anybody else here. I think you should do an ad campaign and feature the directors that are working under you. So my older brother, my late brother, who was a fashion photographer, did this shot of me, and it's a pretty cool shot. It's like a 2 1/4 Hasselblad. I'm happy to have it just as a historical record. Okay, so let's take that out of there. And then I also, I did. Thank you, Celine. I did some modeling. It was really funny. When I was in college, I modeled to make money, and the way that I got jobs was I would work as my brother's assistant, right? And he was like a big fashion photographer, and he was like Cher and a couple of other female artists. Like they wouldn't shoot without him, right? Like if they were doing an album, my older brother, he had to shoot it, right? So I got to meet a lot of those people. I spent a day at Cher's house when my brother shot her house in Bel Air, blah, blah, blah. So, I would load his cameras, right? Because we shot 35 millimeter and I'd help him. And then sometimes he'd need like a good looking kid in a tuxedo to open the door on a limousine, right? In the background while some fancy models, were posing, that kind of stuff. And so I had all these pictures of me as this sort of helper kid, right? In all these models' portfolios. And so, one day it was like some model was at a gig, an audition, and the person said, "Who's the guy opening the door of the limo?" She said, "I don't know. It's the photographer's brother." And so then I got a job from that, and then I would get more jobs. It was kind of fun. It's a good way to make money. I wouldn't want to do it for a living. It's a horrible lifestyle, but I got some work out of that. Oh, Joni, thank you. You flatter me. So then I'm working in LA as a commercial director. That's what that was all about. And I feel like I've skipped a lot. Put this next picture up. Okay, so this is like in the late, when is this? Okay, this is like sometime in the 80s. I started doing work for the church. And this particular job I was doing was, you can take that down. That's enough. It's like, if you've seen one picture of me shoving my eye into a camera, you've seen them all. But I did a music video for Author Services, which is Author Services is the de facto literary agent for the fiction works of L. Ron Hubbard. Okay. It's actually this very interesting, like a cutout company, like you'd have if you were a crime syndicate. It's kind of like Vito Corleone has like an olive oil company, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, right.
And the church has Author Services, right? So because you got to have a way to like deal with your mob money, right? And so their supposed job, which they do, the function is they're the agents for like all of his dime novels. I refuse to call them pulps because that elevates them. They're dime novels is what they are, because that's what they were called back then. All of a sudden, when the movie Pulp Fiction came out, ASI went, "Oh, L. Ron Hubbard wrote pulps." Nobody called them pulps, okay? Nobody called them Pulp Fiction for sure. That's a scholarly term. That wasn't ever a real term. It was a clever turn of words that Quentin Tarantino came up with. It never existed in the American lexicon. They called them pulps or they called them dime novels. Most often they called them dime novels because they cost a dime. And L. Ron Hubbard was most famous as a dime novelist. See, that's actually much more correct positioning. So Author Services, they're responsible for all the nonfictions, the fiction works. I'm sorry, the fiction works. And so one of those fiction works is, the book Mission Earth, which is just, it's not a book. It's a 10-part series. And I tried to read it. I got through one.
That's the one that gets pornographic.
It's really nasty.
It's
really nasty. It's really, it's gnarly. It's got, it's not very nice to trans people because there's at least one trans villain, which is fine. Trans, you can have trans villains. It's like,
sure,
but the way he does it is very, it's not tasteful at all. So yeah, but so they did this album. I know Mark Fisher has talked about this. He was a producer on the album. They did an album, a Mission Earth album, where they got all these musicians. They had Edgar Winter, who was a Scientologist. They had Frank Stallone, right? It was just like John Travolta sang on it. And Edgar Winter did this song called Cry Out. You can go look at the video. It's on YouTube. Just search Edgar Winter Cry Out, and you'll see this music video I did in, I don't know, maybe 1986. And the idea was, it was about crying out for the earth, the world, the environment, because the environment is being defiled, right? And this was intended to be an anthem that could be maybe used for partnerships with maybe Earth Day or environmental activists, sure, which never happened. So I did this video. That shot was from that video. So yeah, it's one of the ways that I got on the radar, on David Miscavige's radar, because they had been incapable of ever producing anything of any quality on film or video. And yet there was this person kept popping up, me, who kept doing the stuff, which I didn't think was anything extraordinary at all. But that's a whole nother story.
That's interesting. So it was just, I don't want to get too deep into it, at least at this point. But
well, then let's not. No,
but no. But it was just these little one-offs that you would do, and that eventually gained Dave's eye. And
well, yeah, it was not so much one-offs. What happened was, I think I mischaracterized it. I made it sound that way. What happened was, there was this team of people, Jeff Hawkins.
I was just thanking Goldie she's got the link to it there.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. Thanks. Oh, yeah. An inch deep, a mile one. Wait a minute. I thought I took that off of there. That used to be my what do you call it? My catchphrase, right?
Gotcha.
Yeah, I guess where did you get that? Is that on my?
Oh no, that's you.
I put that on there. Oh,
she had the link. She had the link to Cry Out there on the screen.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot that I put that on there. I was just joking one day and I put that on there. But yeah, that's me, inch deep, mile one. So there was this team of people in LA that were going to market the Dianetics book. That book had been out since 1950, and now we're talking about 1986. It had sold 3 million copies, which is miserable statistic, absolutely miserable. So Jeff Hawkins, who is a brilliant designer and a marketer, he decided he'd always wanted to do some real serious marketing for Scientology and Dianetics. So I'm actually going to have to change my lighting for this background. It's because you lose a lot of the contrast. I'm going to have to take that into consideration. Anyway, sorry, I was distracted. It's just my ADHD that I don't really have. So Jeff Hawkins really wanted to do this, always wanted to do a marketing campaign. And so he started doing some ads, and they had some success, but they just weren't really taking them over the top. So Carolyn Mustard, who's come on to my channel, who was a former Sea Org executive, marketing executive. Today, she's a wonderful, successful artist, teaches drawing. She has a book. I wish I had a link to her book on Amazon. She has a wonderful book called The Joy of Drawing. She also has a website, thejoyofdrawing.com, I guess. Anyway, so Caroline was given this order to find somebody, find a commercial director. She went to Celebrity Center. She asked somebody at Celebrity Center who knew me since the beginning. I didn't really tell the story, but I was in that movie, Dusty and Sweets McGee, and my girlfriend and I played the title role. Film came out in because I kind of wanted you to read this in the book, but you'll still buy it. Yeah. So this, I'm going to just jump back real quick a little bit.
Sure.
To the July 1972. The film comes out. It's a top-grossing film in LA for 2 weeks, and then unfortunately, the following December, my girlfriend died of a drug overdose. The director of the film had started doing Scientology. We were good friends, and he said, "I think Scientology could help you." He took me down to Celebrity Center. that's where I sort of, I got off drugs. They're incredibly helpful group of people. It was being run by a woman by the name of Yvonne Gent. You all know Janice Gillum Grady. That was her mother. I credit her with saving my life, but I also have to tell you that I got off of drugs in spite of Scientology. I mean, what they provided was just like, they sat on me for 6 weeks until I was like stopped. And then I went, oh, I'm done. So it's kind of like they provided a disrupting force. And they provided some community positivity because of Yvonne, not because of Scientology. I mean, a few years after that, Hubbard worked her to death. She died at like in her 50s of a brain tumor. So I was really fortunate. There were a number of us who were helped by Celebrity Center back in those days because of Yvonne Judge. Then I went back to school, continued with school. I got a degree, blah, blah, blah. And I forgot why I got jumped back. Where was I when I jumped back, Steve?
We were talking about the Dianetics campaign.
Oh, yeah. So I was well known at Celebrity Center because I had come in there as this poor, pathetic, drug addicted college dropout. Hey, Roxy.
Hey, Roxy.
And so Carolyn went to Celebrity Center and said, I'm looking for a director. The person there who was the public exec, her name was Pamela Lancaster. A lot of you ex-Scientologists in LA know her. And she suggested me, Carolyn and I met. I met with Jeff, and that's how I got involved. And then I worked with Jeff on the commercials. Like my role was as a creative working on the commercials. There were so many parts to that campaign. It was so brilliant. The media buys and the way they interacted with the retailers. It's something that Scientology doesn't know how to do that again. It's like putting a man on the moon. Like, well, supposedly they're going to do that again, but like for how many years? 30, 40, 50 years? They haven't known how to do that. Right. Like it's the same with marketing Scientology. Like we pulled off a moonshot. We sold 10 million books in 3 years. Like that thing hadn't sold 3 million books in 30 years. And then we sold 10 million more in 3 years. So it was a pretty big deal. That's how I got on the radar. That's why I brought that up.
Gotcha.
What happened was that thing was so huge. And back at Golden Era Productions, back at the Ant Base, which was established to make films. I cannot stress that enough. I know you wanted to stop when I got to the gate.
No,
but I think that's just going to be, it's going to be like, So back in 1963, when Hubbard was running Scientology internationally as the executive director at St. Hill, he filmed a lecture one day where he stepped out onto a back patio of his in his pretended landed gentry fashion with his wool-pleated, perfectly pressed trousers and his hunter's jacket with the leather patches and, it was a total costume, and, rakishly swung his foot onto the little pony wall and declared to the world that Scientology is only going to go so far as it works, and it's only going to work if it's properly taught, and it can only be properly taught if you could see it done, and you can only see it done if you have films. And he made this huge statement where he basically declared that Scientology was not going to expand and not going to be able to exist if they didn't have films to train auditors. Okay, that was in 1963, right?
Yeah, right.
So then we jump all the way forward to around 78. Nothing's been done on it, right? The Snow White happens, the bust. We all know about that. About the infiltration of the government agencies by secret operators working for the church's guardian's office. And, it results in 11 people going to prison, top Scientology execs, including Mary Sue Hubbard, Hubbard's wife. See, Steve, this all ties into films. Like everything you've ever heard, all this shit.
Right.
It all ties into the films, right? So
100%.
Yeah. So but even though apparently my perspective is invalid because I wasn't the Sea Org, but nonetheless, let's move on. Let's move past that. We're moving past that. Okay, I promise.
We'll move.
We're not gonna go there.
We will not.
No. So anyway, everything comes back to film. So Snow White happens. So
Right.
Hubbard moves to La Quinta, California, in the desert. He buys
Mhm.
this compound. It has a date farm behind it. It's kind of a fake stucco, faux Spanish kind of affair. Out in the desert. And he's got all of his messengers there. Janice is there and Mike Rinder's there. Little Davy, 16-year-old Miscavige is there. And I mean, he's a kid, right? He's just a kid. That picture with him on the camera and Hubbard with the megaphone and
Oh yeah.
shit, I should have loaded that. Anyway, that was at La Quinta. So he's at La Quinta. The Snow White bust happens, right? And Hubbard hightails it out of town. He's like, he's worried about the FBI arresting him. He goes to Sparks, Nevada, right? So he just to let the whole thing blow down.
Of
right?
all places, sure.
I don't know. Yeah, I never asked. I mean, I should, maybe Janice knows, because I was a little up in the air about where he went. So I asked Janice, like, where did he go? And where was he when he was starting to write these films? And she said, yeah, he hightailed it to Sparks. I think they call it being on the lam, right? He went on the lam to Sparks, Nevada, till as we say, the shit cooled down, right? And
Right.
so, is anybody watching this? This is really good stuff.
Yeah. No, we've got
Okay,
we've got at least 47.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. Well, I'll get a couple of shorts out of this. Okay. I
Totally.
hold on to crushes, never got over Rico. I love that. Okay, so while he's in Sparks, he sends this message for some reason that I can't comprehend. He sends a message back to La Quinta that says, you guys need to read these books because we're going to make some films when I get back, right? So anyway, they're reading these books. They're basic, apparently he had consulted a sort of a standard film school, what do they call it, a syllabus for the books the film students are reading. He got some basic standard books. He had them, he had people at La Quinta start reading these books. And when he got back, he formed up a film crew. Dave Miscavige was an assistant cameraman, then a cameraman.
Right.
But a lot of these characters that you've heard about, Norman Starkey, the recently deceased Norman Starkey, was the producer of this. I don't remember which, but it was all like he made a crew out of messengers, grounds people, meaning people that took care of the grounds, and then people who worked in the kitchen. So they were basically tree trimmers, bottle washers, and messengers who formed this first crew. And they absolutely did not have a clue about what they were doing. And they made some of the most embarrassingly bad looking, just hysterically bad films. A lot of people out there who might be in the X community have seen some of these films. They managed to get a few of them done, and they managed to gaslight themselves into thinking they were so good that at one point, the person editing one of these films said, we're going to send this to the Cannes Film Festival, and it's going to take top honors. This film is going to blow them away. And this stuff, I don't remember who I was talking with about it, but we sort of agreed that it was kind of looked like the parents were gone and the kids got the camera and they threw on some costumes and made some sets out of cardboard boxes, and, except without the sort of sweetness the children would put into it. They were a little too serious, right?
Sure.
So then that was in 78. So they're there till maybe the early 80s, and they get a few of these films done. Now he writes before they start shooting. Well, actually, I think they started shooting while he was still ready. He writes 26 film scripts for these films, the technical training films.
Right.
And these films then became considered to be the part of the core of Scientology's, what they falsely claim to be scriptures. They identify them as scripture, but whatever. They're their training materials. These are the core training materials. There's information in these films that doesn't exist in any of those Scientology books, that doesn't exist in any Scientology lecture, even though a lot of them are just illustrating what is in those books or lectures. There's some information in these films that's not seen anywhere else. So you can imagine the degree of importance that's placed on them. Plus, Hubbard already said, if we don't have these films, we're doomed. Like, this whole game is over, right?
Right.
So they're still not getting done. So then they buy the property at Gilman Hot Springs, which is where Golden Hour Productions, where the Ant Base is. The Guardian's office, who was in charge back then, they buy that property because they think, well, this will be the next place for Hubbard to hide out. And he wanted a place where he could make movies, right? And so, yeah, they bought the property. He never lived there. He had a house there, but he lived nearby in Hamilton, an apartment, and then he would occasionally come to the gold property, but he was never actually there. So now they make some more of these films, and they managed to get a total of, I think, about 19 of the 19, 21, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, no, 18 of them done, right? Because there's 7 of them, no, 19, 7 of them that were never touched. I went to art school. I don't know anything about math. So now we come up to 1990, to late 80s, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I had all the success working on the Dianetics ads. And meanwhile, up at Gold, they're trying to get films done and they can't.
Right.
It's not happening. And so Miscavige, he orders the marketing unit in LA, Jeff Hawkins, Carolyn Mustard, his brother Ronnie, who was the CO of the commanding officer of the marketing unit.
That's right.
He orders all of those people up to Gold. And he tells them, he and Marty Rathbun and Norman Starkey, they say, okay, no more of this working with pros. No more Mitch Briskers. No more, there was another guy, Rick Rogers. No more of those guys. They're what we call an external influence. You guys need to start acting like real theater members. You need to stop hiring professionals to do your jobs. And we have a film crew here. If you need ads, use the Gold Film Crew. Now we have marketing here. We're going to do 100% what L. Ron Hubbard said. The reason I bring this up, it sounds like I'm tooting my own horn, but I'm not. I'm bringing this up because it may be one of the best examples of, there's a saying in Scientology, about what would Ron do, right?
Mm-hmm.
At the end of one of the films I made, there's a messenger, and he says, referring to a mission that that Hubbard had to save, a fictional story. He looks in the camera, he looks off in the sky, and he says, clowns, when will they ever learn? Doing what Ron says always makes things come out right. I shit you not. This is what he wrote at the end of one of the films. So for a year and a half, these guys did just that, everything Ron said. And the result was so abysmal. It was so completely abysmal. And I didn't know any of this was going on. I had no idea. I learned about this later. A lot of it I learned from Carolyn Mustard because she knew what was going on, having to do with my hiring. And then all of a sudden I start getting these feelers from the commanding officer of what's called the how they love acronyms. I think we've all, this was, so the commanding officer of the Commodore's Messenger Org Gold, which was a special branch of the Commodore's Messenger organization, which was established to oversee Gold. The commanding officer of that organization contacted me and said, I'd like to have a meeting with you. And he showed me a bunch of set renderings, and we talked about a film. And he's like, hey, would you like to come up and do this film? It felt to me like I had just sort of gotten lucky and I was being handed, it was like a privilege as a Scientologist. I didn't know that he was ordered to go down there because things had gone so badly at Gold, and they needed to somehow, they needed to acquire somebody. I mean, so I arranged my schedule. I said, yeah, I can come up there and do a film. I'd love to. So anyway, that's how I arrived at the gate of, and then I met Dave. That's a whole long story, and we sort of hung out a lot. And then I did a couple of films, and it went swimmingly well, as they say.
Right.
I did not know it at the time, but Hubbard had written like 500 what are called executive directives on the subject of filmmaking and music and performance and whatever. And so one of these executive directives he wrote was called Time Expectancy, and it basically laid out this idea that one of these films was expected to be completed in 2.5 weeks, and that had never been done. It was a little psychotic because some of them were 10 minutes long and some of them were an hour long, but they all had the same time expectancy.
Right.
So, and I didn't know that. So we did this film, which had been planned for 9 months. They'd already finished the sets. but they weren't allowed to go near their equipment or the studio. So I went up there, got organized. We did the film. I did it in less than 2.5 weeks. I wasn't trying to. I didn't even know about the time expectancy. And then it was like, I felt like the explorer who crash landed on a primitive island, and the native people were like, thought you were a god. I mean, literally, it was like, huh?
Mm-hmm.
What's going on here? Because it was just amazing, right? It was like, the reaction was really amazing. And then it became really difficult for me to get out of there. Miscavige personally went and put my name up on the org board, right under the head of the division, over all these Sea Org members. It said Mitch Brisker, NSO, which stands for non-Sea Org. And I was a Scientologist then. I was dedicated. And I can't even begin to explain to you what that would mean in terms of you're pinned there. You're like a butterfly in a collection with a pin through you. You're like if it was a voodoo likeness of you pinned by a voodoo doctor into that board, and it was real magic. It would be that powerful.
Sure.
Like the only way I could get myself off that org board would be to leave Scientology.
Right.
Like it was that much pressure. And so, I was looking at this thing and I was thinking, I am really screwed because this is not my plan. My plan was not to come up here and get on an org board. So then I did a couple of films, and Miscavige decided, let's open Gold. Gold's like, they're not a bunch of criminals anymore. We got this director and we're making films and it's a happening thing. He said, let's start recruiting. So he kept us up for like a week with no sleep. And I had never experienced anything like that in my life. And we made a video about Gold. Like literally people were sleeping on the floor between shots. The medical, quote unquote, medical office was like pouring vitamin drinks down people. And, it was just crazy. Right. And so we did this video, and they took the video to the ship for the maiden voyage event. Every year they have this floating cathedral called the Free Winds,
right,
where people go to do OT8. And so the whole pressure was to get this thing done and show it to the Free Winds. When people see this, man, they're going to be signing up in droves to join the Sea Org and come work for Gold, right? So very nicely, when the whole thing was done, I got a couple of days sleep, and they said, well, yeah, you should come with us. They invited me and my then wife, and it was just like all expenses paid. Luxury yacht. I didn't have to take any courses or deal with IAS regs or any bullshit. And I have a picture from that trip where I was ran into Dave. And here, why don't you put that picture up, Marilyn? Get ready. This is crazy. One of these days. Is Marilyn still there?
She's there.
There we go. Yeah, there's me and Dave and Norman Starkey. And behind Dave is his brother, Ronnie. I always thought Ronnie was taller. And
it's the angle.
It must be, because Ronnie was taller. And there we are, being all smiley. Now I tell you what I'm going to do with this picture. I just realized I'm going to take this picture and I'm going to put it in the community section on my page on YouTube, and we're going to do a caption contest. Okay, because like my head is just spinning with different captions that could go on there. And if you want to include Norman, because he's got this sly little look there, the guy in the middle, Norman Starkey, if you want to include a caption for him, that's fine. And I don't know, maybe I'll do a free book or something, or a coffee mug. Hey, I'm opening up my merch store in coordination with my book. It's to promote my book. It has book centric art on it. But yeah, so that was it. It was like we're like all chummy, and it kind of looks like I'm going, you fucking put my name on the org board. So, and he's saying like, yeah, I own your ass.
Yeah. If I didn't know any better, right? Yeah, Patty. Wow. Yeah, exactly. If I didn't know any better, I'd think you were like 7-8 feet tall.
Yeah, you would, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm only like 5'8". No, I'm just kidding. I'm 6 foot tall. So yeah, and this is so.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, pretty crazy, huh? So
there we go.
Yeah.
So no, so that's great. Do me this favor.
Yeah, sure.
only because I'm crazy curious myself. Obviously, I think I understand from your younger days in Laurel Canyon,
Yeah.
what got you, where the kind of the artistic influence came from. It was all around you, right? It was just you.
I kind of grew up with it. My father was an architect,
Yeah.
and he was a very fine artist himself. He was a watercolor artist, and he designed buildings.
Right.
And my mother was initially, she was an interior designer, but when I was about 13, she graduated from UCLA with a master's, a teaching degree, and she became a college professor. She taught design and color theory, and so yeah, I was like, I grew up in a very artistic environment. Like my mother was. We have in the U.S. A thing called the Professional Art Schools of America.
Mm-hmm.
It's an affiliation of art schools that are accredited, private schools that are accredited to give bachelors of fine arts and masters of fine arts, right?
Right.
And in order to give those degrees, they have to be accredited by a board, right? And so my mother was a noted college art professor, and she was on the board that accredited the Professional Art Schools of America. I ended up going to two of those schools. I went to California College of Arts in Oakland when I was studying painting, and then later I went to Cal Arts. But I don't think I would have gone to any school outside. The only schools I ever considered going to were schools within the network of the Professional Art Schools of America, which were like, Cal Arts, the Art Institute, the Art College in San Francisco, Black Mountain College, Chicago Art Institute, Rhode Island Institute of Design, probably Parsons in New York. They're all very noted schools of professional art.
Right.
Although I thought about, continuing on and maybe going somewhere, NYU or something, for a master's. I just didn't do it because I just wanted to get out of school. I was like done. So did that answer your question? Yeah, I had a kind of an artistic upbringing.
No, it makes sense. That makes sense. And
yeah,
so
nothing, not film though. Nothing to do with film. That was something that I found in college.
So talk about that though. You were in college. You were, now this is when you were studying more painting art, right? Or am I?
Oh no, just the first semester I went to college.
Okay.
For the first semester. Hold on one second.
I was gonna say Mitch is looking for something.
Yeah, I was. No, my kid's at the market. He's sending me annoying freaking texts about what I want him to buy. I'm like, dude, he knows I'm streaming. Like, F off. Yeah, I'm sorry. I got distracted. What was your question?
All good. When you discovered film.
There's a chapter in my book called The Summer of Love. And the very last page of that chapter will give you an exact insight into that. And it's kind of metaphysical, so I'm not going to share it. You have to read it because it's but something at the end of my stay in the Bay Area lodged itself in my brain. And then when I returned to Los Angeles, I didn't know what I was going to do. So, but because of the Vietnam War, you had to maintain a school deferment. If you were in college, you could get a deferment. I did not know at the time that all that meant was if you were deferred for 4 years because you were in college, they would just take that 4 years and they stick it on the back end. So instead of being eligible till 34, you were eligible till 38. So it wasn't a get out of a jail free card. They were just sticking it on the back end, right?
Okay.
So then that really pissed me off. And then that's why I tore up my draft card and just upped the drug intake and just,
right.
My mother freaked out when I got my draft notice. She's like, we'll send you to Canada. We have friends, we'll blah, blah. But I just went and confronted the Armed Forces recruiting office myself and said, is which one of these doors do the heroin addicts go to sign up? And they were like, that would be the exit. So anyway, I don't like that word, but heroin addict. But because I was like, doesn't really cover my brand. I was a little different. I was definitely drug addled, but anyway, okay. I'm trying to think, where the hell was I? Okay, so yeah, so what I did was to maintain a school deferment is I've signed up for some classes at LA City College, which was so a lot of famous people went there. The art, broadcast, acting. Wasn't aware of it. I just needed the school so I could take like science and English and these classes you were going to need to get a degree and get them out of the way. And then when I signed up there, I discovered that they had they called it a broadcast department, and they had a couple of really notable people teaching film. Okay. And I thought, oh well, I think I'll just take a couple of film classes. And that, because of those two individuals, one was a guy named Peter Gibbons, who was at that time the head of the camera department at CBS Studio Center, which was interesting because that was where I'd made that film, that changed my life, basically. Yep. Was made out of CBS Studio Center. And then the other guy was had been a TV art director who'd won a bunch of Emmys. And Peter was an incredible guy. He was a cinematographer on like the old, what are called the Technicolor 3-stripe films, like those old Technicolor films, like Around the World in 80 Days, How the West Was Won.
Right.
These grand widescreen films. They were shot on a device that had 3 cameras in it. They were called 3-strip Technicolor, and they were 3 cameras that shot black and white. This is a little technical, and one shot with a red filter, one a green filter, one a blue filter. Yeah. And because just like today's digital cameras, people don't know this, they actually shoot black and white. There is no such thing as a color chip in a camera. All your electronic cameras shoot black and white. Then they have a filter on top of them, a red, blue, green filter called a Bayer filter. And that extrapolates by virtue of the tonality what the tone and the shade of color is, and then it interprets it into a color image. Like all photographic color images, except for analog film, are all digital one. And so before they had color emulsion, because color emulsion, it needed too much light, it was too slow, they had what are called the Technicolor 3-strip cameras, and the images were beautiful. Anyway, so Peter Gibbons had been a camera operator on a couple of these films. Like he was a camera operator on How the West Was Won, which, when I was 8 years old and I went to a theater to see that film, it was mind blowing. There was a trip in a canoe down some rapids, and, it was like this wrap around, super duper, IMAX doesn't even come close to that stuff. So anyway, that's why they built the Cinerama Dome. So yeah, I got really fired up. So Peter he loved cinematography. I took a cinematography workshop from him. He eventually went on to become the chair of the cinematography department at USC Film School, and he became a very noted professor of film. And the other guy was an art director who won a bunch of Emmys, and I was just like, what am I doing in fine arts? I should be in film. Film is so much more fun. Fine arts is lonely, man. People are like, they're pulling your art off an easel and they're ripping it up and like telling you're like a loser. And like, it's really a hard, lonely journey studying to be a fine artist. I think that's why they all end up so tortured, is because of their mentors. But anyway, so I switched to film. I discovered CalArts, which didn't exist yet. It was planned to open within a couple of years, maybe a year and a half. So I applied. They said, well, you don't have a film portfolio, but we see you've done a lot of nice art and design stuff, so we'll admit you into the design school. And then after a semester, you can, as they say, matriculate, because, in the university level, they love Latin and these big words. So
it's such a college word,
matriculate. Yeah, so of course it is. And so they said, after a semester, you can switch your métier to film and matriculate to the film school, at which point we will assign you one of the professors to be your mentor. Like literally, that even at CalArts, which was wild, I went there with like Ed Harris and a bunch of other noted people who had amazing careers. But, that's the way for some reason, they talk that way on paper, not one-on-one. It's all on paper. Right. So anyway. Yeah, so I matriculated to film and got a degree in cinema, and then went to work for a noted company who you saw the picture of me working. I did a bunch of work for them.
How was Ed Harris?
Oh, I didn't really know him. I don't
Okay.
think anybody did. We were in
Oh.
the same. We were in the same class, right? And it was a small school. There's only a couple thousand students, so would see him. When bell rings, everybody's out in the quad or the hallway or the
Right.
whatever. And a friend of mine in the film school did a film with Ed Harris, his student film, and the general consensus, Ed Harris, even at Cal Arts, even in college, was thought of as an amazing actor. Like everybody knew this guy's a movie star. Like it's just hands down. And we all thought of him as scary. Like he was like scary Ed Harris because he was so intense and so, and I don't mean that in a bad way because I absolutely admire him and love his work. But it was to the point that this friend of mine who cast him in this film, playing like a psychotic James Deany kind of character, like it was just like how would you typecast Ed Harris in his college persona? Oh, he's like an axe murderer because he was very intense. You could just see it on him. So, and come on, he's an intense guy on screen.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and yeah. So anyway. But yeah, I was there before. There was a bunch of Don Cheadle was there, but that was later.
Okay.
That was a few years later, and then Tim Burton famously was in the same department when I was in at CalArt. So this is a really good school. A lot of good people came out.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Yeah, all three of those great names.
Oh, and a whole bunch more. I'm leaving people out, and not just from film, but from other disciplines as well, because the whole thing about CalArts is it was first of its kind in any art school of higher education. It was a dream of Walt Disney. He actually left an endowment, a $50 million endowment to start the school. And he always wanted to have a multidisciplinary art school, which combined music, theater, dance, film, animation, and what's called critical studies, which would basically be kind of like, if you wanted to be a film critic. Actually, there's a very noted film critic, F.X. Feeney, who was a CalArts graduate. And, CalArts says, what's his name? John Lasseter went there, from Pixar. And it's the number one animation school in the world. Obviously it's a feeder for the Walt Disney Company, or Walt Disney Studios rather. Makes sense. They do a lot of scholarships and send students there. But, if you get an animation degree, which is not easy to get from CalArts, you're going to walk into Disney Studios and get a job. Like it's not going to be a problem.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's that. I was really lucky to go there. I was a member of the first 4-year graduating class. So, and I was one of the first students admitted, and it was a very, very special place, very special school. I mean, the semester I was there were amazing people there. I was there when Alexander McKendrick was the dean. He's considered to be the greatest film teacher of all times. He's a very noted film director, a British film director. The British Film Institute top 100 films, like the AFI, we have it in America, the AFI top 100 film list. They have one in Britain, the BFI list, and Alexander McKendrick has 3 films on that list. So he's a significant filmmaker. He's the most significant, at least British filmmaker that you've never heard of. He did, I'm trying to think what is really the most noted film he did. Well, the most famous film he did is called Sweet Smell of Success. And I tend to do these film reference things and recommend films. If you've never seen Sweet Smell of Success, you are missing an incredible experience. It's considered to be the greatest noir film ever made. It's a Lancaster Hecht production. It was starring Burt Lancaster, Tony Curtis, and I'm trying to think of her name, the female lead, and Martin Milner. It's an amazing film. It's based on what the hell is his name? The columnist who actually gave Dianetics a very good review, Walter Winchell. It's based on this power broker, Walter Winchell, who made and destroyed people's careers. He was a press agent. He's represented as a press agent in the film. It's an absolutely stunning film. If anybody wants to go rent that film and you don't like it, send me an email and I'll pay you back whatever you paid for it, because I guarantee you will love this film. Sweet Smell of Success. Anyway, and it's also a really innovative film because he came to America to shoot that film. Right? He was born in America, grew up in England, was an advertising executive. Okay, so you guys may not have heard this, but we're going to do a little film history right now. There's a film production entity in Britain in the golden age, whatever it was, in the 60s probably, called Ealing Studios. Have you ever heard of Ealing Studios? Steve,
I've
Ealing?
not. No.
Okay. Ealing Studios was this sort of they were the originators of the most famous, most masterful British comedies. This is where Peter Sellers, Alec Guinness, Terry Thomas, those actors, right? They are the legends of British as British actors, right? Believe it or not,
Right.
Alec Guinness came out of comedies, right? And Alexander McKendrick was one of the Ealing directors, and he directed one of the most famous Ealing comedies, which was called The Lady Killers, which was later remade into not a good film by Tom Hanks.
Oh yeah.
That was originally an Ealing comedy. But then Alexander McKendrick, he went on, I think he was nominated or won a Best Screenplay award for a film with Alec Guinness called The Man in the White Suit. So he was like those guys, Alec Guinness, Peter Sellers, Terry Thomas. He was kind of their Martin Scorsese in their early part of their career. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. They were sort of his ensemble actors, right? Another amazing film, Man in the White Suit, if you're into 60s British films. God, that might have been in the 50s, but really amazing stuff. So McKendrick came to America to make The Sweet Smell of Success, and did really, really well. And then I think he eventually, because Sweet Smell of Success was in the 50s, a beautiful black and white film shot by a cinematographer by the name of James Wong Howe, who is one of the greatest cinematographers of that area. Do you know what I'm talking about? Did you ever study film history?
That's not this deep. Not.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. James Wong Howe is one of the original great American cinematographers, Chinese American. So I'm sure if you looked up his list of the films he shot, it would just blow your mind. Sure. So anyway, so McKendrick, sometime in the late 60s, maybe early 70s, he was offered to direct in Hollywood a film called Mary Queen of Scots, which that would have been the second time it was done. And then, of course, Saoirse Ronan and what's her name, the Australian beauty. Really bad with names. See, I made you forget it. They made the story again, but the story of Mary. No, the one who played Barbie. No, come on.
Yeah.
Her. Like, I can't believe. Yeah.
Anyway,
people are laughing at us right now because they can't believe we don't remember. Anyway, so McKendrick came over here to do Mary Queen of Scots. The film fell through. He was briefly out of work, so they offered him the job as the dean of the newly formed film school at Cal Arts, and he's a ton of people. He influenced a ton of people. I was trying to think, but if you go to Amazon, if you're really interested in learning about film, and you go to Amazon. Sorry, I'm just going to show you. I'm going to turn you on to something. You're going to thank me if you're interested at all in film. Yes, so this is, let me see, how can I do this? I don't think, it has a new cover. Here, I'm going to show this to you. Let me go back to, and let me share this. I want to show you something here. Let me just share this screen. So this is from a website of a professor at the School of Visual Arts named Paul Cronin, who edited this book called Alexander McKendrick on Filmmaking. This may not be the book that I'm thinking of, but it's let me just double check this. If you're interested at all, this is the greatest book ever written on what it is to direct a film. There's literally no better reference than, it's the same title. I just didn't know that cover. So here it is. I want you all to note this down because I know that there's a lot of people watching this because they know that I'm an absolute film fanatic. And so they're like, yeah.
Have we said Margot Robbie out loud yet?
Yeah, Margot Robbie. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember her name because she's like my dream girl. I mean, I know she's like married, but it's just like, that's what all, she's not?
Oh, no.
Yeah, she's married. I mean,
no,
her and
she's
Scarlett,
married,
her and Scarlett Johansson, they're both married. So I'm just,
Colin Jost.
Yeah, I'm happy for them. They have incredible lives, but it's just like, I'll never be happy. No, I'm just kidding. No. But I'm assuming that people are going to assume that I'm going to say some stupid shit about film, so they're going to tune in, right?
Well, of course.
So this book, it's forwarded by Martin Scorsese on filmmaking, an introduction to the craft of the director by Alexander McKendrick. I'm telling you, you need to read this book, even if you just like film. And you're not necessarily going to pursue that as a craft, but I was hoping there's some stuff in here. Anyway, I know the author of this book, the editor of this book, who put it together, Paul Cronin. I only know him because he was contacting CalArts alumni who knew Alexander McKendrick, and because he's writing another book about CalArts. And I'm trying to see if I can find a picture of him. Such a great guy. Anyway, we called him Sandy. He went by the name of Sandy. We absolutely adored him. He was he was one of our many wonderful teachers at that school. And I just to give you a little bit of an idea, here you go. There's Alexander McKendrick. So yeah, he did The Lady Killer, Sweet Smell of Success, The Man in the White Suit, Whiskey Galore, which is a really funny film. Don't Make Waves, and High Wind in Jamaica, which is an adventure film. And like, you may not have heard of a lot of these films, but they're all great films. And as I said, 3 of them are on the top 100 British Film Institute. But this is without a doubt, Sweet Smell of Success. It's a must-see film. So,
gotcha.
There you go. So don't get me talking.
I will have.
Don't
all
get me
these
talking.
Films. No, it's all good. I'll have all these films in my down on my Amazon wish list by the end of the night. So
yeah, good. Yeah. Great. Well, I ain't buying them for you.
You gotta ask.
Oh no! I just don't ask me.
Oh, fair enough. No, fair enough.
That's all I mean. No,
I gotcha.
Hey, listen. Help us out, guys. Stevo's his film education is incomplete, and I really want to help complete it. So let's reach out and get him these films.
Oh,
okay, because everybody deserves to have a complete education. There's something I wanted to show you here. It's kind of cool. Hold on one second. So, oh yeah, here we go. I'm going to have to do my little JPEG thing here. My little quick actions PDF. Okay, so is any questions? Everybody clear on the?
We got some questions here that we've got starred on this side, but
okay. Well, we're almost an hour and a half in. We should probably jump to the questions because
I was going to ask you scared me before we started today and said that you had questions for me.
Well, no, I had one question for you. I was pulling your leg.
Okay.
I was just trying to make you a little nervous because I thought you'd do better.
Oh, thank you.
It's a director thing. We always try to manipulate people to,
fair enough.
Give them little things like, so I'm going to ask you a lot of questions. So I want you to be on edge, right? I'm not going to tell you be on edge because that's just crappy direction, right?
Yeah.
You don't tell people be happy or be sad or whatever. You walk up and you say, hey, I'm really sorry about your dog. What happened to my dog? Oh, I just got a call your dog died. And then they're like all broken up. And no, I've never done that.
Then they perform amazingly.
Yeah, you don't want to tell them be sad. You got to make them. You got to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I was just messing with you. But my question was, and I already asked you, I just didn't paraphrase it as a question. It was, is this like a what did I call it? Achievement award or some
Oh.
kind of, yeah, because I'm not planning on dying within the next year.
No.
And usually those things are the kiss of death. So that was my big question.
No, and we're not killing you off either. So we're not writing you out of the script.
You're not writing me out of YouTube?
That's right. Is that possible? I don't know.
I think so. I've seen people do it. I've almost done it a couple of times myself.
Oh, geez.
Hey, I wanted to show you something that's kind of cool. Let
Yeah.
me see if I can find it. Okay, so I'm going to be launching here. Let me load this up, but don't show it yet. Let me give you a little preamble.
Please.
I'm going to be doing a number of things to promote my book. I'm going to be launching a website shortly for both myself and the book. This is all about promoting the book, not about promoting me. I'll be opening up a merch store, and hopefully soon, within a week, I'll do a cover reveal, because my book is being designed by an absolutely stunningly brilliant book designer, somebody I knew years ago that I've been able to reconnect with. I'm incredibly fortunate. I've also had some people be generously support the book on, I think you have, Marilyn can put it up. I have an Indiegogo campaign. I was raising some money for book finishing costs. And then we made that, we met that goal. And then I've asked people to keep donating it, because it's going towards a night with me and these kind of strippers that I just met. No, no, because I'm doing a campaign, because my goal is to not just have my book on Amazon, but to have it in bookstores. So I'll be publishing it on Ingram Spark, because that's how you need to publish on Ingram Spark if you want to be in bookstores and libraries. And I'll be publishing on Amazon, because that's where everybody buys their book. But I need to be able to fund an actual marketing campaign, so I can get it to the point where bookstores will start buying it. And you also need some media coverage, and I've started to get reaches on that, because it's very important. Once you get broad media coverage, then bookstores are like, oh yeah, we want to have this book, because people are reading about it in whatever, I'm not going to say, but hopefully that's all going to work out. And so that's why I brought that up. But I wanted to just show you. Go ahead, put this up. It's not live yet. You can't go there, but I wanted to tell you that I'm going to be putting merchandise in a store that is artwork that was developed for the book. And a lot of it is not being used for the book, but this is one of the pieces of art. I actually put this on the header on my channel.
Yeah.
This is the wolf in a suit. This is like a kind of a metaphor for, the person's got this mask on, which is like this gold mask. It's like making an evil cult look good. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's all kind of very subtle subtext, but she's a phenomenal artist. And I think her art looks really good on merchandise. And this was a test I did. I particularly liked it. I put the subtitle on the back, so you'll be able to order this and a bunch of other stuff soon. And all of that will go to help support the campaign to get this book into actual stores by Christmas. Wonderful. Because this is a book that the Church of Scientology doesn't want you to read. I mean, there's not stories in here about the whole. There's not stories about child trafficking or kidnapping. Those things are getting great coverage. But what's not really getting covered is the really in-depth explanations of how psychologically this whole scam is run and how it's marketed. And while some of the stories in my book are, they're definitely about abuse, there's been missing a little bit from other books. And this was the thing that I was hoping that I could contribute, is because I was kind of, the best way I put it is I was like the chief architect of Scientology's, global propaganda machine for 30 years. So I was able to kind of deconstruct that whole thing. And boy, they do not want this book read. So when you support me and, at the store, whatever, Indiegogo, buy me a copy, it's going towards getting this thing into people's hands so they can read it and learn about this stuff. And plus you learn about 60s counterculture, because there's a couple of chapters in there about, thank you. Rosebud Ami. How do you say that? Rosebud Ami. Rosebutomy.
Rosebutomy. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like edamame.
I think that's exactly what I was just thinking. Yeah.
And I guess this is luck, right? Because those are clovers, right?
They are. 3
Yeah.
4-leaf clovers.
That doesn't seem like a rosebud. Is that a film reference? Rosebutomy. That's so rosebutomy. I guess you could say it like that too, right?
Right. I mean, obviously, rosebud is a reference. Rosebud aim is apparently the
Great.
pronunciation. Thanks, Goldie.
Yeah, thanks.
Rosebud
What else
aim.
we got?
Okay. Let's move into our start questions here, and let's see what we've got. Start at the top, always safe. Selena says, if I buy the book, I wonder if Mitch would come over and read me a passage every night. I'm dyslexic, you see.
Yeah, and I don't sleep, so this is a match made in heaven.
Oh, perfect. Perfect.
Of course, Selena, I'll come read you the book.
It might benefit you to find a place in Wales until you're done reading it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Otherwise, that's flights.
It is. It's a bit of a trip. We're not exactly neighbors, but we're compatriots. So
yes.
Yeah, you can look forward to that, Selena. You don't even have to buy the book. Just buy me a ticket to Wales, okay?
There you go. Perfect. Chase is asking, why are some Star Wars fans angry at Ewoks? In an alien land, a bear race is very believable, I think, and just so cute. How could you hate them?
Well, that is such a random question for what we're doing today.
It is.
But it's not. I almost worked on that film. I was working for Robert Abel and Associates. Well, on the first one, not on the Ewok one. I was working there when they gutted the place for talent to work for ILM, which was in LA back then. There was no.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, you think Lucasville, all that whole place up in Northern California,
right?
When Star Wars was made, that didn't exist because, of course, how could it? Right. That didn't exist till after Star Wars. ILM was in LA. It was basically in Hollywood.
Okay.
Really not far from the warehouses where the CST project was done, Superpower project. And then some of it was in North Hollywood, and then some of it was in Van Nuys. And I worked with a guy at Robert Abel and Associates, a guy named Richard Edlund, a very gifted cameraman, director of photography, and he was hired by ILM, and he said, get the hell out of there. Come be my assistant. I was like, no, I'm a hotshot commercial director. Anyway, Richard went on and won an Oscar for the film. And then he won like another 20 Oscars for Ghostbusters. And I think he won at least half a dozen Oscars for special effects.
Wow.
He's an amazing guy. I was really fortunate to work with him. So I don't know. So anyway, I was just saying that it was not that far-fetched because I do have some relationship to friends of mine who worked on the film, and I agree entirely with Chase. I'm assuming that's a female name, but I 100% agree that a bear race is very believable. So any of you Ewok haters out there, go away.
So I'm going to take the opposite. And I'm going to say, I think, they're not just a bear race. They're a teddy bear race. Yeah. They're so cute. You can't hate. You're right. You can't hate them. But I think a lot of people forgot. And I think, Lucas had originally, the Star Wars films were supposed to be very kid-driven, kid-oriented. Obviously, that's, the action figures, all of that. And there's 1,000 stories around theirs.
Okay.
But the idea was that these were supposed to be kind of lighter films. Well, they got really dark by Empire Strikes Back, and I think they got really dark by Darth Vader. But so I think a lot of those fans that had started with the first two, all of a sudden their ending, the happy ending, is in a movie with teddy bears dancing around, and I think that's probably where they may have some issue, but. I love the film. I thought they were both hilarious and served their purpose. But yeah, no, great Great. Yeah. Great random question. You're absolutely right there. So.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's a great tangent. I'll tell you. I think you're partially missing the point here, Steve,
Am I?
with the Ewoks. Yeah, I think
Okay.
you are. For one thing, I think you're slightly off. I mean, I was there and I had friends and I visited the studios where I saw the Death Star. I mean, they were doing all the live action shooting, what they were doing at Pinewood in England, right? And,
Right.
but then all of the model work and the special effects and the composite work was being done in Los Angeles, right? And I had friends from school and from my work, my previous work, who were working on it. And I'd gone and visited, blah, blah. We all thought, I mean, one of the reasons why I turned down the offer to work on it was because we all thought it was like a Buck Rogers Saturday matinee kids movie. Like because none of us really knew yet, even the people that were taking jobs on it, they hadn't seen the script yet. They hadn't seen anything put together. But, think about it. He worked, this was a serious science fiction film. This was not intended to be but we were shit faced when we saw it. I mean, he worked with, what's his name? The hero has 1,000 faces. What is his name? The anthropologist. You know what I'm talking about?
No. I didn't know he worked with an anthropologist. So that's.
Well, I don't listen. Was he okay? Listen, let me just do this here. There's a very noted guy who came up with, everybody's heard of that, about this, the hero's journey. Okay. This is based on the work of what do they call him? He's definitely a writer. Campbell, he was.
Oh, Joseph Campbell.
Yeah, Joseph Campbell. Yeah, so he was George Lucas's #1 consultant on the story for Star Wars. Did you not know this?
I didn't know this. No.
Oh, so yeah. As a matter of fact, Lucas had fallen in love with this hero of 1,000 faces, and when they did the PBS special, it was shot at the studio, Lucas's studio up in Marin. What's it called? Lucasville, whatever. Whatever it is.
Just Lucasfilm.
Yeah, well, there's a name for the ranch, Lucas Ranch. Maybe that's
it's a Skywalker Ranch.
Yeah, Skywalker Ranch. Anyway, They shot Joseph Campbell's interview at Skywalker Ranch.
Oh,
and he spent time talking with Joseph Campbell about Star Wars is based 100% on Joseph Campbell's writings on the hero's journey. Everything about it. The Luke Skywalker, he modeled his entire thing from Joseph Campbell.
Got it.
And he spoke about it. He interviewed about it. Campbell talked about it. And Star Wars was kind of like this great experiment, in that it was the proof of concept of what Campbell had been talking about for all these years. Because all of a sudden you follow it to the T and you make a movie based on the dynamics that Campbell had laid out in terms of her hero's journey. And the entire world says, yes, I identify with it. Mm-hmm. And that was Campbell's whole point, is that everybody's individual life, no matter how insignificant, follows the same journey, right? So anyway.
Okay.
It was, my point is, it was a serious film. And the thing you missed about the Ewoks is they're a very special race called Christmas plush toys. Okay.
Of course.
Very special alien race.
Of course. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so, when they were working on that film, so anyway, Lucas got a really bad deal from Fox, right? When he went into Fox to make the film, they didn't even want to make the film. They're like, yeah, we'll give you a little money, right? Everybody knows this, right? Yeah. And everybody knows it's such a well-told story that he took the deal and he said, I want T-shirts, right? He said, I'll do it I'll take that money, but I want the T-shirts, because he thought he could sell a ton of T-shirts and make money. Well, unfortunately for Fox, him having T-shirts meant he had all the ancillary rights for all the toys and whatever, which have made many times more money than the films. And probably somewhere along the line, somebody said, there's a very special alien race that we've omitted, which is Christmas plush toy.
Christmas plush
The-
toy.
From the planet of Christmas, the planet Christmas, I guess. So, they included them. So are we now straight on this, Steve?
Oh, we're clear now. We're
Okay,
clear.
good.
I got
good,
you.
good,
I got
yeah,
you.
Good.
Yeah. Blows my mind. They're still making toys from the
Are
original
you reading?
movies
Can
today.
you put that up? Can you, what is that?
No, I was just talking.
Oh.
The men of SPTV should make a calendar, says Lumi.
You don't want to see that shit. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, if
Speedo? Is that?
If I can pose in a hazmat suit, I'm in.
Yeah. Selena again. Mitch, show us the photo of you in the pool with the sunglasses.
Oh, okay. How did you know I had that one loaded, Selena? What the hell? Yeah, could you bring up that PDF again? I think I took it out, but do I need to reload it?
You need to reload it.
Oh man, I screwed up. Okay, here goes. Yeah. Okay, hold on. I just gotta let me go back here and reload it. I don't know why I did that. I'm so OCD about keeping everything clean. I'm like, we don't need that anymore. I'm gonna get rid of it.
Off with it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, that's not it. Must be in here. Oh yeah, here it is. I'm loading it.
Right.
Selena, can you put a note? Can you answer my question? Answer up, or I ain't coming to Wales. How the hell did you know I'd loaded that shot in here? Okay, hold on. Let me just.
Sorry. Go ahead. You get to it.
Yeah, let me go to it. Let me go down to it. Oh, here it is. There it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, is this the first time this has been presented?
On YouTube, absolutely. I'm like serious. I think it was on Instagram and part of my gallery, but
okay.
This is a 1980, early 80s selfie. Maybe I invented the selfie. I might have invented the selfie.
1980, probably so. Here we go. Ta-da.
Yeah, I was in the Palmason winery in Saratoga, California, just inland from Santa Cruz. I was shooting a commercial for them, and it was a magic hour thing, so you only shot during the morning and an afternoon. And so they put me up at their Tuscan villa, and this is what I did all day long. And I think I have holding a Polaroid camera out of frame when I took this, trying to look like a model. I think we showed this before, right? Didn't we? Wasn't this up there earlier?
Not here.
Oh, what do we have earlier? Oh, put this up. This is funny. This is kind of funny.
This one?
Yeah, this one, the one that I have currently displayed.
Okay.
Queued up. I got it queued up. Yeah, this one. So this is, I don't remember when I took this, but this was at St. Hill. This is the gold office, because they had offices everywhere. The gold office in St. Hill. So that was kind of fun, just to prove that I've been there. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What else didn't we show here? We show this one?
We showed that one. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, good. We showed that one. That one
too.
That one. Oh, we showed this one. Oh, we didn't show this one. And then, okay, this one, okay. When the director's doing makeup, you know that somebody's in big trouble, especially at gold. No, this was I just found this like 2 days ago in a bunch of old photos. And this was the film I did with Danny Masterson. And this was one of the cops that was chasing him in his character. And this guy needed to have a scar on his face, and the makeup artist couldn't get it right. She just kept screwing it up. So I just kicked her out of there, and I just went and did it myself. So anyway, that's that. And I'm just going to go through. I think we got it. We got them all.
I think so.
Yeah, we got them all. Okay, let's get that out of there. We're done with that.
Oop, that's
here. I'm booting it out of there. Okay,
there it is. 2 spots there for a second. Okay.
Yeah, it's done.
Good. That's great.
So there you go. Oh,
Patty B says you had the ponytail for a while. You did.
I did. That was the famous ponytail that everybody wanted to see. But when it started to become like a comb over, I was just done, because I'm not that guy who's just gonna try to pretend.
Oops. It
good.
It went and came back for a second there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love when Mitch gets to talk about his experience. His job is what he loved.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I used to say, yeah, unfortunately, I wasted my career working for those people. That was unfortunate. But I used to say, people at Gold did not like to hear this, but I used to say, I actually direct for free. You pay me for the politics. So that was not a very popular statement.
Probably very true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chase says Mitch knows his stuff and is so passionate.
Hey, you got to put this one up from the inappropriate heifer. Sorry, I did not accuse you of being a cow, because this is.
So we get.
Whereas, did you see that one? It's from 817. Okay, so look at the irony between the inappropriate heifer that I'm a ladies' man. Okay, that's just like, I'm not sure if that's an invitation to be inappropriate. But thanks, I appreciate that. I'm going to take that as a compliment.
He'll be inappropriate later.
Yeah.
Well, how do we get back? How do we get back to this camera angle? I wanted that again.
Oh yeah, there you go.
There we go. Sorry about that, YouTube. Okay, OBG Foster says, Norman, hey, bend your knees a little. I'm going. Oh, it's the picture of Norman there. Right. Yeah, Norman, hey, bend your knees a little.
Yeah.
I'm going to the RPF for not giving him an apple crate.
Yeah, Norman was definitely a normal-sized human being. Norman was an interesting guy. I liked him a lot. I know he had his moments. I hear Brooke Shields liked him a lot too, but we're not going to talk about that.
Oh.
You know the story, right? Do you know the story? At Tom's wedding, the Tomcat wedding, when Leah was being told to F up by Tommy
Davis,
yeah, for asking that question. At the same reception that happened at, Norman got kind of a little drunk and he hit on Brooke Shields and he got sent to the hole for that. So, can you blame him?
Brooke Shields, no, beautiful woman.
No.
And of course, the funny thing is she, was only there because Tom apologized after going nuts.
Yeah, but I mean, they were well past all that shit. I think so. Yeah, I think they were way past it. I think. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think he took accountability for that, held himself accountable at least with her. I think Tom's mellowed a lot. I don't know what's going to happen with Tom. I mean, there's a lot he doesn't know. People think he knows stuff and that he's, there in spite of it. But right. I don't think people really understand the power of Miscavige's of the firewall that he can keep people behind.
Interesting.
Just my personal opinion. I have no special insight other than with the experience that I had in my own observations.
Oh, this is nice from Rosebud Aim. Mitch, Denver Steveo is the best one in not interrupting you and letting you talk. That's the reason I asked Mitch to be the first of the show, is I knew Mitch had stories and I wanted to hear Mitch talk.
Yeah, no, you've been great, and I'm not great at that. I'm really working on not interrupting people because it's a bad habit, and you're very good at not doing that.
I was going to throw out some. Well, no. Oh, that's right. We're not going there.
No, we're not. We're not.
For the from Lumi again. For the calendar, the men would have to write a romantic haiku.
Oh, nice. I could do that.
Hello, ladies. Oh, yeah, 575. That can be. I'll have to work.
Yeah, that's another thing that we probably have to look forward to from AI, is that no one will have to be creative anymore in writing haikus. I'll just say.
Well, now after the writer's strike finished, now wouldn't there be some like novelist union strike now for
AI?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if there's a group for them.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. See, Mitch has a deadpan sense of humor, and he's always apologizing because people can't tell he's joking.
Yeah, sometimes that's true. You got to watch that stuff. It's not always good. But thanks, Patty.
I'm figuring it out, Patty.
Yeah, you're definitely tracking, as we used to say.
Oh, Mr. Crow, how you doing? Good to see you here. A question. Hey, Mitch, are you familiar with Mike McClowry? Any interactions or stories to tell regarding him? He and his wife are sadly going through rough times at the moment.
No, I don't know them, and I wish I did because of what you said.
Yeah,
I'm assuming he was on Scientologist somewhere who was.
I don't
But
know.
I've never heard that name.
Yeah.
I hope maybe it's a misspelling, but no. The answer is no. Sorry.
All right. Yeah. No, sorry, Mr. Crow. Duchess Diana, I'm looking forward to reading your book. Hear, hear.
Thank you.
Agreed, Diana. Excuse me. Your royal. I don't know what you say to
Duchess Diana.
Duchess Diana.
I think that's a Your Highness. I think
Is it?
yeah. I'm not sure. Oh no, that's a princess. I'm not sure what you. It might be Lady Diana. I'm not sure. Hey Chat GPT. How do you address a duchess?
Right. Find Mitch on Facebook. There's it's facebook.com, Mitch Brisker.
Yeah. Hit me up.
Goldie's selling your contacts. It's been fascinating listening to Mitch, says Patty B. I'm glad you got to talk. Me too.
Yeah, no, it's great. Yeah,
I do like hearing Mitch's stories. So
yeah, and I'm trying to get better at this, and the best way to do it is, just do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
In speech,
Goldie.
okay.
No, it's her nickname, Rosebud, and AIM is short for Amy. Oh, thank you. Rosebud is the nickname, and AIM is short for Amy. Gotcha.
Dukes and Duchesses in speech. Okay, I've got your answer, Steve.
Oh, please.
Yeah, here's the possible titles for a duke or a duchess.
Yes.
This would be in conversation. It is best to make a sparing use of titles. Okay. Formally addressed as Your Grace.
Mm-hmm.
They are referred to as His Grace or Her Grace. The exception is if you are of the same social standing, then it's simply, hey, you. No, I'm just kidding. As in a peer or a spouse. In such an instance, you may refer to them as Duke and Duchess. Hey, Duke. Hey, Duchess. Yeah, like that. That's cool.
I don't know if you throw hey in there.
Yeah, so anyway, there's the answer to your
Dookie.
question, Duchess.
There we go. So, Your Grace. Thank you. I like that.
Guess who came back for a snack?
Wow, that was a while, though.
Yeah, no, he's being a good boy, and he hasn't barked. Hey, Weston, come on up here. Come on up here.
Did I hear Weston doing the dishes earlier?
No, that was my son.
Okay. There he is. Oh, such a.
He does not like to be held at all. Beagles are just like, what the hell are you doing? He's a handsome boy, though.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, he is. He's a handsome little. Okay, I'll let you down now, and I'll give you a treat. Okay. Oh, there you go. Here, go fetch.
An extra treat for taking the trip up.
Yeah. No, it's her nickname. Okay, good. You can buy Mitch a coffee. Yes, please. Thank you.
So, Mitch Brisker.
Yes.
Brisker.
Support the effort. I mean, I want guys at not International Management. There's no such thing. I want, when they do their Christmas shopping, I want them to be running into my book.
Absolutely.
It was like the best thing that could happen.
Help Steveo stay awake by buying him a coffee. There you go. Yes, please. Yeah. Coffee, please.
Yeah, it's like 9:30 for you. Thank you, Duchess. She says, "Love the pup."
My two nicknames. It's not the sled, Mitch and Steveo. Okay. And yes, they are clovers. It's not the sled.
Yeah. Okay. Good. It's so rosebud of you.
Yes. No regrets.
Okay,
Mitch.
good. Somebody's asking, Patty B wants to know about what's the publishing date. I'm trying to establish that right now. We'll probably go for pre-orders because if some of the media stuff comes through that I've been approached on, I need to have something where people can go and, pre-order, leave a name, whatever. I'm shooting to get it into production by the end of this month, and then out by Thanksgiving. It's a really tight schedule, but everybody on board with me is agreeing to that schedule. So we're really pushing it.
Very cool. So what was it?
Yeah.
What was the name of the publisher again?
MD Brisker. No.
No.
Ingram Spark.
Ingram Spark.
Well, yeah, they're yeah. I mean, I'm the publisher, but I'm self-publishing on Ingram's. Yeah, so they're part of what are Ingram's. Ingram's is the biggest book manufacturer and distributor. They're a manufacturer and distributor.
Okay.
So you can use them in addition to Amazon. Amazon is like, but if you want to get your book into bookstores, you'll never get it into bookstores if you're on Amazon, because bookstores don't buy from Amazon.
Right.
There's no program for that. Where Ingram's, they were originally a book distributor, printer and distributor, huge back in the 80s when we were doing the Dynamics campaign. That's one of the major distributors that we dealt with in terms of doing campaigns. It's like a little bit why I'm a bit knowledgeable about this. It's from the old book marketing days.
Sure.
And Carolyn Mustard, of course, knows a lot about this. And so then when self-publishing and on-demand printing became a big deal, Ingram's started a division called Ingram Spark for self-published authors. So it's a way that you can get your books manufactured and promoted to bookstores, and they'll order from Ingram's. They won't order from Amazon, because Amazon doesn't want to sell to bookstores. They don't want to give, they don't want to discount books to sell to bookstores. Sure. So Ingram's they handle manufacturing and marketing. You can pay them to do marketing, and if you can get bookstores to order your book and your book's at Ingram, then it'll end up in bookstores. So, right. But you can't go there. You can't go to Ingram Spark and buy books unless you're a bookstore, because they're a distributor.
So is it, before we get to Matt's question here, and there was one other one that had popped up too. So am I understanding, if one were to order the book from Amazon, that would be an Amazon printed book?
Yeah.
And then the Ingram Spark, they've printed the others.
It would be an Ingram. Yeah, and an Engram.
No.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it would.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. You just, like, Amazon has this deal where, books have to have a little barcode, international standard book, that thing they have on it.
Right.
Yeah. So when you publish on Amazon, they'll give you one for free. Yeah, you can get like 5 of them for $350 or something. They're not that expensive. But if you publish on Amazon and you use Amazon's code, you can't then use that anywhere else. Okay. So then if you try to go somewhere else and use another barcode, then it's confuses everything. So you just have to publish on Amazon with your own ISBN. You know what I'm saying? As long as you bought one and you give it to them, you say, "Here's my book," they're happy to publish it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and actually, you make the deal, the whatever you call it, the percentage that you'll make from Amazon is a little better than Ingram Spark, but the potential number of books you'll sell is way better with Ingram Spark.
For sure.
So yeah, so the bottom line is, if you're serious about self-publishing, you should do both. That's
okay. Well,
yeah, and I guarantee
if will be out for Christmas.
Yeah, will it? Seriously?
No.
If I can get this into bookstores, I will absolutely be doing a video about how to self-publish and get your book into bookstores. Because it's like the self-publishers they're not getting their books into bookstores; they're just getting into Amazon. And I want those guys at S&P and those the oligarchs in LA, when they go do their Christmas shopping and they walk into bookstores, that they walk in, there's an end cap and it's got my book on it. So you better bet I'm going to be sending out some free copies to my old friends at OSA and so forth, because they're going to buy it anyway. So I'll just save them the trouble.
Do you think they walk into Barnes and Noble anymore?
Who, them or does anybody?
Yeah. Well, I know, but I know people do. I
think for Christmas,
okay,
they would walk in there, but probably, I mean, they don't have time. They get like, I remember at Gold, there's a what do you call it? There's a what do you call those places? Like the where they put all the seconds and everything, those huge facilities, like on the way to Vegas. I can't remember what they're called.
Oh,
See, I wiped your brain again. That's
You keep doing this.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Outlet Mall.
Outlet Mall.
Outlet Mall.
Okay. I live right by one. I should know this, but okay.
Oh yeah. So anyway, so yeah, I remember there's a huge, really great outlet mall, about a half hour from Gold on the way to Palm Springs. And every Christmas they'd cut everybody loose for 3 hours. That would be it. 3 hours, get all your Christmas shopping done. And it's just, I mean, I never went with those guys. I shopped at that mall because it's a great mall. Yeah, because it's on the way to Palm Springs, so there's a lot of rich people on that road. But yeah, it's pretty wild. I mean, can you imagine that? Because you know what Christmas shopping is like. I don't know about you, but I would do a little bit here and a little bit there, and I could never make my mind up. Right. And I could never take it for more than an hour. So it's just like,
oh, God, no.
You'd go to say, I'm going to do my Christmas shopping again, and then you'd end up in the movies at the mall. You go, oh, fuck it, I'll just go see a movie.
Yeah, no, and to do it all in 3 hours. I mean, I guess if you've disconnected from most of your family anyway, right? I mean,
yeah, no, but they have each other on the base, and there's a whole. Yeah. I mean, sometime we can talk about it. It's a pretty long story, but they have this whole gift. They have this gift culture, like they used to do. Like, what do you call it? KKs, Kris Kringle. They'd put a bunch of names on a hat, and then everybody would pull one out. And they're your Secret Santa, like Secret Santa. Yep. Yeah. They call them KKs for Kris Kringle, right? And then and then after that, it just became like kind of ridiculous. It just, yeah. And then of course, then there's also David Mickiewicz's birthday, where they got people coming around handing you lists, right? Hey, so what are you going to buy, Dave? I just felt so bad for the staff. They'd all pitch their money in and. I'd get these lists with like, I think I'll just get the $700 shirt. That's the cheapest thing on here. And then you get a thank you in February. Hey, thank you, Mitch. I just got around to opening my presents. And you'd think, oh, he's the hardest working guy in the world. He didn't take his Christmas. And that's, it's true. But he didn't take Christmas till February because he managed to be so busy. Because I think that's how long it took him to get to your gift, because you got so many gifts. I mean, like, I remember at ASI, he had I don't remember what it's called. There's a Mustang you can get. They cost about $150,000. They're literally, they're like NASCAR level custom Mustang.
Oh, geez. And
Flag had bought him one of those. And then he had a motorcycle that must have cost $80,000 that he had in the parking lot at Author Services. It was just like, yeah, he's got some toys. I remember once he said, "Hey, they just dropped off 2 BMW i8s with Tom. You want to take one just to borrow, just driving around, like because they use BMW is a big sponsor of Mission Impossible, right?
Right. Sorry
about that.
All good.
They're always crashing BMWs, right?
Yep.
So he has this deal where they give him tons of cars, and he just gives Dave one of them, and they drop him off in pairs. Like they never drop off one. It's always two. It's like, yeah, I just got a couple of i8s or a 7 Series or whatever.
They're hoping Tom gets hitched again.
What do you mean?
I don't know. They give him 2, thinking he'll have a lady friend or something.
Well, yeah, exactly. No, I think it's because they're hoping they just want people to see him driving those cars.
Yeah.
Like if you see the visual of Tom Cruise using your product, I mean, what's that worth?
Oh, yeah, tons. Absolutely.
Yeah. If somebody gets a shot of him, right, and he's like in a BMW, like, and it goes onto social media, it's going to get a million hits. It's just like
Maserati. This is your way to up your brand.
Yeah, seriously. Me and Denver Steve. Okay, good. So we hit 2 hours. We should start wrapping this up. Huh?
We are. We're on the tail end here.
Okay, good.
We are. Shoot. Somebody had asked a question, and I don't. Oh, somebody had asked about pre-orders. You had mentioned pre-ordering.
Oh, so we're working that out now. I'm not quite sure. I'll be announcing that shortly. I'm working that out now because I don't want to be disappointing people, but minimally I'm going to launch a website and we're going to do a cover reveal. Hopefully within the next week, we'll do a cover reveal and I'll announce the website and minimally you'll be able to go on there and leave at least an address, if not pre-order, or we'll have the pre-orders with Amazon worked out. So yeah, I would say within a week, 10 days, I'll all be sorted and like that. And at least it's got an incredible cover. So if you hate the book, it'll look really good on your shelf.
Looking forward to it. Looking forward to what it looks like there.
Thank
you. Mitch is so dryly humorous. Do you pay Patty B?
Yeah, I think the money's going to be falling out of her wallet. I actually don't.
Oh,
she is just really gracious.
Oh, that was the end of the sentence. Sorry, I thought you were.
I actually, I don't, but I probably should.
Pay her.
Now Chase wants to get in the action. Well, if you're going to pay her, pay me too.
Yeah.
So
smart.
Okay, so somebody mentioned an audiobook. This was who was this? Duchess Diana.
Oh yeah.
Your Grace. Was it Your Grace?
It was Your Grace. Yes.
I forgot already.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it was Your Grace. Okay, Your Grace. Here's what's happening. The second that I can get out from under the actual book, then I will be recording. I'll be recording the audiobook myself, and my son, who is an amazing musician and audio technician, he's going to be producing it, and which basically means the drudge work of editing and making sure the sound quality is okay. And so yeah, I'm going to start on that immediately, and I'm hoping to knock that out. I know this is probably really a bad estimate. I'm hoping to knock it out in a few weeks. So, because I really want to get it out there as an audiobook.
You're like Sinatra, one take. That's it. Just
no, I can't. Yeah, exactly. No, but I just think I think I directed. I mean, I was involved in a lot of audio productions,
right.
And a couple of audiobooks. Not many, because I don't like doing audiobooks. Like I did the audiobook for Dianetics, and yeah, so I have some familiarity with how the flow of how it goes and how to do it. So hopefully I can knock that out pretty quickly.
Who read the audiobook for Dianetics?
Well, the original one, I don't know who has the current one. The original one was read by a guy named Lloyd Sher, S-H-E-R. You can look him up. He's a very notable voiceover talent. And I think he still is the guy who read it.
Okay.
After he read that book, we were doing the how to use Dianetics, 4.5, 3.5 hour, whatever it is. The presentation, the film presentation, video presentation, how to use anyway. So the way those work is, that's not the book. The way those work is, me and another person, we would write scripts for every step that you need to do to use Dianetics. And then we'd shoot it, and then we'd edit it. And then inevitably, once you edit it, you make revisions, and then you bring the voiceover guy back in, right? You record like a rough track with the voiceover guy. You shoot, you edit, you make your changes, you bring the guy in, you do some more rough stuff, you refine, and then eventually when you're done, you bring them in for a final session, right?
Okay.
Let me just see. I want to find something here to show you.
Pfeiffer says your voice is perfect for Scientology ASMR.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's so funny. That is so funny. Anyway, so Lloyd is a great guy. He is the voice of Modern Marvels. You know the show on, I think it's the History Channel. Yeah, he's Mr. Modern Marvels. He does a lot of that stuff. And he's a He-Man when it comes to the shit. He would go in and do 8 hours without a sweat, like with breaks. Like nobody I knew could do that, whose voice was that robust, who could do 8-hour sessions. And Lloyd was just crazy. And then one day he said, "You guys can fuck off, because I've now read so much of your anti-gay stuff that I refuse to work with you anymore." So he bailed right in the middle of that Dianetics how-to video. And that was a real freaking problem.
I would say.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what. That's weird. Okay. Anyway, yeah, we had that happen twice. We had it happen with Lloyd. Why? I wanted to share the screen. I don't know why it wouldn't.
Oh,
Let me.
Oh no, yeah,
I
yeah.
can still. I'm still good to share. It was me. It was what I was doing on my.
Okay.
Oh yeah, here it is. I just wanted to. I know how. Oh, there it is. I know how much people love pictures. This is Lloyd Schur, and you can see he's done. He's worked for pretty much everybody, and I don't. Oh, these are just different commercials he's done. I bet he doesn't have Dianetics on here. Anyway, he's a very busy voiceover talent,
Okay.
and he doesn't need a plug for me, but he just got one. You prefer limericks to what, Rev Girl?
The
haikus.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that was going back a bit. Yeah,
We could do limericks.
yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
There once was a man from Siam, a girl from Siam. I don't know how that ends. Okay, good. What else do we got here?
All right, Patty B. Question: Is Cruz's last film failing because he's PTS from Scientology? So much SPTV, etc.
Very well could be. I think he's PTS a little bit because I think the film industry is getting a little. Part of it was just coincidental because of the Oppenheimer film and the Barbie film,
Right.
and those were seen as such huge blockbusters. They wanted to keep Oppenheimer in IMAX theaters, and they didn't renew the Tom's contract, his deal. They didn't renew it. They said, "Yeah, we'll let you back in when Oppenheimer's done." And then Oppenheimer's like, "I just went and saw it a week ago. One of the last IMAXs. It's still fucking going." So I think he probably made a really bad timing decision about when they brought the film out, and it has nothing to do because Hollywood loves him because he makes so much money. That's all they care about.
Oh, the last Top Gun movie. I mean, just a
Yeah,
year ago. Yeah,
insane.
just fantastic, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
Yes, I saw it on cable. No, I think I got a screener. Yeah, I got a screener. So
did you, Mitch? Did you prefer, or did you do green screen work where the? Sorry, let me rewind. Mitch, did you do green screen work where the actors had marked points as their joints, etc.?
yeah, that's actually called motion capture or mocap for short. When you add the points,
Yeah.
you're motion capturing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I remember the Andy Serkis things.
Yeah, you're not usually, like, if you're just doing a blue screen shot where you have an actor and you're going to swap out the background. You put some witness points on the blue screen so that as you move the camera around, you can have something to relate the motion to.
Okay.
But if you're actually putting those things on them, I mean, they have suits now that talk directly to the computer where the actor just puts the suit on. It's like a black suit with all of these witness points on it, data points, and the camera can see them, but also the computer picks them up. So it's gotten pretty sophisticated.
Wow.
But yeah, I've done that stuff. I've done motion capture and green screen, a lot of green screen. Well, actually, at Gold, they have one of the largest green screens in Southern California. They have a really large green screen because I made them build it. It was a big controversial thing about whether they were going to build it or not because they consulted an acoustician, and the acoustician said if you put a wall like that in the studio, it'll ruin the sound. Nobody told him that you don't record sound in the studio. You record sound in sets that are built into the studio. So it's kind of ridiculous to say that a wall in an empty studio is going to ruin the sound. So there's a big fight between me and the audio guys. And then finally I said, okay, you may not, you may end up not building this green screen because of your objections. However, the day that you need it, you're going to have to go rent a studio. How do you think David Miscavige is going to feel about finding out that you needed to rent a studio because we didn't provide for every opportunity for everything we needed? And that person, they just said, they got off of it when I brought that up. They were like, yeah, I would be sent to the RPF because it was made clear that we need to account for every eventuality we'll ever need in that studio. And so I said, you need to build a green screen. This thing is, the studio is 60 feet tall to the grid, and this green screen goes almost to the grid. So it's almost 60 feet tall, and it starts probably 50 feet down one wall, and then it does a curved sweep, and it goes 50 feet down another wall, and it's almost 60 feet tall. It's mega huge. The first thing we shot on it was the film with Isaac Hayes, where he's standing on a platform out in space, and it was just like, and the thing is I said, if you build this studio and this green screen, I'll make you a movie in there that you could not have had without having that, and that's what we did.
All
so
right. There it is.
That's what you got to do. Okay.
Looks like we're at our last question here.
Good.
Okay. Thanks, Mr. Crow. Mike McClowry was in OSA and the Guardian's office. Thank you for posting the question, Denver Steveo, and thank you for answering it, Mitch Brisker. Okay, so
he was in the Guardian's office prior to OSA.
Yeah.
So I did not know him. I do know a few of the old Guardian's office people. A lot of them have left or they've passed away.
Sure. Okay.
But Shays loves Tom Cruise. That's great.
Oh, very nice.
Suri Cruise is evil. Okay, that's good. Yeah.
Suri Cruise is evil?
That's what. Look at Shays has got her own interesting opinions.
I thought she was the good one. Well, with that, Mitch, what do you have anything? We know the book is in the works.
Yeah.
What else? What else do you have to plug? What exciting things are coming up on YouTube?
Nothing. That's on YouTube. Yeah. I don't know. What am I doing? Okay, Sunday I'm going to do a very interesting show with Karen de la Carriere called the Scientology Caste System, and it's about a CASTE caste.
Yeah.
And it's about there's a very specific food chain, hierarchical food chain. It goes from like humanoids who are not Scientologists all the way up to Dave. And there's this like hierarchical chart of human existence, which is unspoken. It's undefined. And some recent conversations I had recently that made me very acutely aware of how some people in the Sea Org feel about people who aren't in the Sea Org, that it brought to my mind this very structured level where you have like, this is somewhat of gross generalization, but you have what they refer to as humanoids, or that W word, which I'm not going to say because it's like the N word in some parts of the world. So you have these sort of humanoid, raw public people. And then you have public Scientologists, then you have Sea Org members, and then you have, I have it all written down on a thumbnail. You have celebrities, super celebrities, super donors. Oh no, the super donors are below the celebrities. And then you have Tom, and then you have Dave. And it is literally like a status machine. And Scientology pushes itself as being very, very democratic and very inclusive of all people. But even within its own culture, it is extremely classist and stratified and status-based. And so Karen and I are going to be talking about that. And then it's not scheduled yet, but the next film that Mark Headley and I are going to do on the Mark and Mitch make a Scientology film, it's about a film called, excuse me, it's a film called Estimating Case Condition with Tess and the E-meter. And this is the film that more than any of the other technical training films contains the essence of the con, of how the con is run, because the entire con is run based on estimating your condition, then gaslighting you into believing it, and then selling you something. And it's the film that literally lays out mechanically how that's done. And anyway, so that's going to be very exciting. And then beyond that, I don't know.
All right. So
thank you, Marilyn.
So yeah, thank you, Marilyn.
Yeah, we just haven't scheduled it yet. It'll be within the next few days.
Okay.
Our schedules are just weird, and that's pretty much it. Other than that, I'm just going to keep plugging away, trying to grow my channel, and so that I'm no longer like, I it would be nice if I had quit your job, buddy, because I don't have a job to quit. But
that's an easy one to quit.
Yeah, best thing about it is when you get up in the morning, you're there.
That's right. That's right. Well, on my side, not tomorrow, Saturday, not same time as this was, 9:30 Eastern time. Next episode of Xenu Nation. We have a special surprise video from Matt from Matt's Caustic Comments. He's not letting me watch this. He sent me this video, but he won't let me watch it in advance because he wants a raw reaction to it. He has gone so far as to tell me it was the unboxing of one of these. I have him right here. The little Navy thing guy.
Right.
So apparently it's an amusing unboxing of that, and we will be doing that on Saturday evening, as well as Xenu Nation shenanigans. So should be a great time. And yeah, that's my schedule here coming up. I'm looking forward to seeing all of the rest of what SPTV has to offer. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and it is what it is. It's fantastic. So wonderful. Well, Mitch,
I appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate
this was great.
You being here. That was wonderful.
Yes, no problem.
Thank you for the inaugural. Sounds like we have a lot more story to talk about, though.
I don't know. I think you got it all.
I don't know about that. We'll wait until after the book is out, and then I can ask you questions.
Oh yeah, great. If you want to do
in my book.
Yeah, if you want to read the book, we can come on and chat about it. But you have to
I would love to read the book. I'm looking forward to that. So
yeah.
And then for everybody else, just one last reminder. I gotta plug the whoops, if I can find the right button here. I gotta plug the brands. Which one was it? Was it that one? Oh, just remember, share this live stream with all of your social media accounts. And that's the YouTube link. Plug it into your Instagram, plug it into your YouTubes, or I guess this is your YouTube. Plug it into your Facebooks, your Twitters, and share it with all your friends so they come to find Mitch and myself out there in the grand world. But here we go. Like and subscribe to Mitch's channel once again. It's at Scientology The Big Lie right here on the YouTubes. And then not Clearwater Chad. Why do I keep missing the button? There we go. Sorry about that. The thing kept moving. Remember, like and subscribe to me at Denver Steveo. So, and with that, folks, we will end it here, and we will almost end it here. Now I got to go somewhere else. And yeah, have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye, everybody.
Happy trails.